to the Immunotec family. He's a doctor, a chiropractor from British Columbia, Canada, Dr. Ron Paskewych. So, doctor, welcome to the call tonight.
Thank you very much, Alberto. It's great to be here. And yeah, I'm very honored to be a part of the Immunotec family. And I love to talk about this subject in particular, just because it's really close to me and it's what convinced me to look further into this product and not only use it for myself and my family, but also to recommend it to patients as well.
Perfect. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And please go ahead and tell us all about Immunocal.
Right on. Okay, thank you. So if I have control here, I'm going to start talking about actually, where are we?
There you go.
Thank you.
All yours.
Okay, great. Yeah, so to start right at the beginning, like Alberto said, was, you know, the history is so rich. There's so much to cover. I'm not going to cover it all, but to get an understanding of where this actually came from. And it was over 40 years ago with Dr. Bonas, who did some groundbreaking research on immune function and nutrition. And back 40 years ago, that really wasn't what people were thinking about or interested. We take it for granted these days. We know what's good for us and food and diet. But back then they weren't even sure what was working. So what he found was he was given, and it's a great, great story. He was giving a whey protein, and looking and doing research in his lab, he started to do research and seeing how it affected the immune system. And he found it had an incredible effect on it right off the bat. And this was replicated throughout the world with other scientists. He participated and he joined up, again, a great story how he met Dr. Kongshev, and you can see the picture of her there too. And she's known as the mother of immunology. She got one of the first PhDs in Canada for immunology, and she was studying about the immune system. So putting those two together, it was a powerhouse team, and over a decade they did research understanding why this specific whey protein called Immunical actually raised glutathione and improved immune function. And over the years they started to find out all of the other health benefits of it. It was really quite incredible. This book I highly recommend, Breakthrough in Cell Defense. It is about Dr. Bonas, and it's about the rich history of how he came from Italy. He did his research specifically more in mostly at McGill, and he's well known and respected right to this day. So when it says backed over by over 40 years of scientific research, that's really when it began. It wasn't even a product. They were just doing research, and they were curious, understanding why this was such an immune-enhancing protein. So if we go to the next slide, there we go. Great. We'll talk about the science of glutathione. Now, we'll start on the left of the screen. To put it simply, the science of glutathione, it is a molecule. It is made up of glycine, glutamate, and cysteine. Those are 3 amino acids, which makes up and actually creates glutathione in our cells. Now, we need to get it in our diet, these 3 amino acids. You can see glycine, glutamate, they're smaller. Cysteine's the big one. And why that's a big one is because it is the rate limiting, meaning that it is the most important amino acid to get into our bloodstream, into our cells, to actually create glutathione. Now, the problem is it's not very bioavailable in our diet. It actually gets broken down very quickly in our gut. Our modern day diet really doesn't have a good source of cysteine. And you may find it in, for example, like broccoli, a vegetable, cruciferous vegetable, but it has to be raw, because once you add heat, it breaks down, and again, it won't get through our system. So things like raw milk, raw meat, mother's milk, all of those things will have cysteine. So it's a tricky part, and what Immunical did is that they made it specifically to deliver cysteine to our cells in a protected, effective manner, so it gets to the cells and it raises glutathione. Now, why is glutathione important? You might have heard about it, you might have not. It's going to be the buzzword in the next decade, there's hundreds of thousands of articles and research papers talking about glutathione. But the 4 vital functions that we always go back to is understanding it's important. It's the big idea. It's important for your immune system function, meaning that to have a proper immune system working, it is dependent on the levels of glutathione that we have in our cells. The D stands for detoxification. These days we have thousands, tens of thousands of chemicals and toxins that have been introduced into our environment over the past couple of generations, and our body absorbs that, whether it's through our food, the air, through our skin. And what's critical is that if it accumulates, we're going to have a lot of health issues, and this is what we see, a lot of chronic health issues. We need to detoxify, so our liver is part of that program, but it gets overwhelmed. And glutathione is one of the main ways that we actually detoxify. And that's into deep tissues, whether it's our brain, whether it's our kidney, our liver, our stomach. We constantly need to detoxify. Glutathione is critical for that. E stands for energy. Now this is great because many times, I've saw it in myself and I've seen it in many patients and friends. One of the first things that they feel when they start to take Immunical and they raise their glutathione is they start to have energy. They feel so good and stronger and healthier than they've ever been before. And there's a good reason for that. The science backs it up. And it's because glutathione is important for something called mitochondria, which creates energy in the cell. So it keeps it running cool and clean. This is a very, very important aspect too. So who doesn't want more energy? I mean, it's just for that in itself, it's an incredible product. And then A stands for antioxidant. And it's also known, glutathione is known as our master antioxidant. So you might have heard of things like, vitamin C, vitamin E, things that we can take, things in our food like berries and, all these other natural sources that have antioxidants. Everybody knows they're good for us, right? But the thing is, all of them are dependent, how well they actually are utilized is again dependent on the levels of glutathione. So if we have lots of glutathione, all the antioxidants that we are taking in our diet and the glutathione itself, it's working much more efficiently. We're getting much more bang for our buck because they work very, very well together. Okay, so that is the big idea. And we try to keep it clean, we try to keep it simple, but it has a profound effect on our health. So the benefits of raising glutathione, it's like I said, to keep it very simple, maintains a strong immune system. And who doesn't want that, especially these days? It supports the production of antibodies, which again is to help fight off infection and keep us healthy. It helps to increase muscle strength, enhance performance when combined with regular exercise. Again, they did a study and they did it in athletes. They found a 13% increase in muscle strength and performance when taking Immunical. And they did it in seniors as well. And they found a 10% increase. So, I mean, that's the difference between, sitting on the chair, watching TV or using a cane or a walker versus going for hikes and walks and gardening and playing with grandkids. That can make a big difference in somebody's life. And then, of course, increasing our energy and physical performance. Sounds pretty good so far. So I just want to wrap up again and talk about the world-class scientific support. We're dedicated in this company to spend millions of dollars to keep the research going. It's not that we stopped 40 years ago. It's ongoing, and we keep finding more and more ways that glutathione helps the body and how Immunical can help. So far, we have more than 60 published research articles by world-class doctors and scientists. It's clinically tested. Again, what makes it stand out from other products is that a lot of the studies were done on humans, not on, lab rats and mice. And if you see that it has a positive effect with humans by taking Immunical, that puts it in a class of its own. It's critically important when you look at research that the research should be done on humans to see if it's relevant to it working for us. Now, it's cited in respected sources of information such as the PDR and CPS. You don't know what those are. PDR is the physician's desk reference. That's in the US. In Canada, we have the CPS, which is the Compendium of Pharmaceutical Specialties. It's a big word. What that is basically the Bible for all of the drugs. Every year, a new publication comes out, all of the drugs that are available, all the interactions, all the uses for pharmaceutical drugs. So the doctors need to source that. Well, I have it with me because our neighbor is an MD, and this is the one from 2013 she lent me. So it's a big one, and probably everything's on the computer anyways. And guess what? Immunical's in it. And it was the first natural health supplement that was actually positioned in this because it's so effective. And if doctors are curious to say, well, is Immunical right for certain people or patients or for certain conditions, we just say, hey, go talk to your doctor. They can look in the CPS and they can check it out. And once again, it reads right in there, talking about the immune function, the purpose of it, building up the cysteine, and all the positive effects of it. I mean, to get into that is pretty profound. I don't know any other health supplement that can make the same claim. And it has, again, more than 40 years of scientific research, and it's ongoing. So that's Dr. Jimmy Gutman. He's a great guy. He works out of McGill as well, and he's been a wealth of information for me. I've just been learning so much from him specifically and his research, and he's been just so supportive and a real rich resource. And he's written some books. You can tell I love books, right? This one about glutathione. And if you want to know what glutathione does for you, he's one of the world-renowned experts on it. He's written many books. This is the most recent. So it's on certain conditions and see how glutathione can help in certain cases. And this was one that he did prior to that. So these are incredible products and all the research. So I just want to wrap up right now. And I just want to say it's been about a year since we learned from a colleague about Immunical. And being in practice for 20 years, I thought, I've known so many products. I've been, people have come to me to say, hey, do you want to use it in your clinic? Or, we've done the research. Many times, what the first thing I do is before we talk about any product is I say, well, show me the research. And if they show me the research, then I can look in and see is this relevant? Is this good? Most times they don't send anything when I ask that question because really they have very little or not very good research. When I asked Immunotec and said, well, show me the research, pages and pages, documents, all of these published articles, and it blew my mind. That's the real thing that changed for me, was understanding that not only is it effective, and I've seen incredible results, but also the science backs it up. So I want to say back to you, Alberto. There's so much more I could share, but I love talking about it. But that's probably enough time for me. So back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paskewych, for that wonderful introduction and wonderful information about the science behind Immunocal. And I'm sure that our guests tonight are wondering, where do I find Immunocal? How can I get it? So the first thing is to talk to the person who invited you tonight, and they will give you more information and tell you how to become a customer so that you can take advantage of taking Immunocal and, of course, increasing the levels of glutathione in your body. So thank you again, Dr. Paskewych.
You're welcome.